A new coach and a new culture. We talked to Riley Barnhart about the drastic changes that the Park City girls soccer team have been making. Also, a new team that's off to a hot start. We talked to the South Summit Wildcats volleyball team after their big win against Juab. And finally, a coach headed into her second year looking to build off of the program even more. It is Lindsey Cunningham, and it's all coming up right now. Well, despite losing a handful of seniors last year, South Summit still remains amongst the top volleyball programs in all of 3A. Here is myself with Alyssa Sargent talking a little bit more about this talented squad. Hey everyone, right now we are joined by Alyssa Sargent following a big-time win against Juab. Alyssa, big game today, how do you feel?
It was a little rough, but we got it done.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Game one, you actually lost, and then it progressively got a little bit better for you guys. How did the team adjust early on?
I think we're all just a little nerve-wracked a little bit. We were kind of scared before, but Coach kind of told us some things, and we all just took a deep breath, and then we were fine after that.
What was scary about Juab specifically?
I have no idea, honestly. We kind of just came in, startled a little bit. I don't know why, but in the end, we pulled through, so.
So you're 3-1 now. Your first loss, or your only loss, was the first game of the season. And so, what really is the limit for this team? Is this team as talented as you were last year? You got to the quarterfinals in the state playoffs. I'm curious how far you think this team can go.
We definitely lost a few girls last year, but I think we're pretty deep this year. Seniors, juniors, and sophomores that I think will go as far as we can.
In terms of this season, who are some of the players that are really standing out right now?
Well, our setter, especially, she kind of is a form of this team, I think. And then we got a sophomore that has started since her freshman year, Emma. She does very good. And then our libero, she stepped up and she's doing amazing.
One of the big things that I noticed too was you're a very vocal leader on the court. You're very important to this team. I just have to ask you, have you always been kind of a vocal leader for the volleyball teams that you've played for?
I'm pretty noisy and I never shut up, so pretty much, yeah.
And where does that come from? Is that something that you think is necessary for specific teams and for specific players?
Yes, I think when we're quiet and we don't talk, we kind of go downhill and we struggle a bit, but when we're all up and talking and have energy, we do really good, so.
What would you say is one of the differences from this season compared to teams in the past? What is special about this team specifically?
I think we're all just here to play, and whatever happens, happens. We have no drama involved in anything, and I think it's just fun. We're all here as a team together.
I think that's a really interesting thing you bring up. After every single play, whether it was good or bad, it was all smiles from every single one of you. Is that something that's kind of good for this team? Is that something that is an attribute that is maybe, it's just a really solid attribute for the entire team?
Yeah, I think when we all get down and we all kind of get mad, we do bad. So when we're all happy and upbeat, regardless of what just happened, we want that momentum back. So we have to stay upbeat, positive, and happy, and then we get that momentum back, and then we can start rolling again.
How often is the team not positive and happy? Because even when you were losing in the first game, and even at the beginning of the second game when you were down, I believe 3-0, it was still all smiles. How often is it that there is really any negativity on this team?
Not very often. That's what's special about this year is we don't get down and we help pick each other up when somebody is down, and I think that's a big help to us.
Are there any young players on this team or maybe someone who's coming up in the next couple of years that you're looking out for, that you're really looking forward to?
Yeah, there's actually a few girls. And Tylee Lott, she came in today and she did her job and what she was supposed to do, and that really helped us a bunch. And then Ellie Cummings, she stepped up too, and she plays for us sometimes when we just need a break, and she does amazing.
Last question from me. You start region in just a couple of weeks here. I'm just curious, what are some of the adjustments you would like to see be made from this team before big region games start?
I think we all just need to calm down, and regardless of who we play, good, like, we have amazing teams in our region this year, and I think we all just need to relax and know that we can be any team that we play our best in.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and good luck on the rest of the season. Thank you. The Park City girls soccer team has already surpassed their win total from last year, just 2 weeks into their new season. A lot of it has to do with their new culture. Here's myself and Riley Barnhart to talk a little bit more about that and a whole lot more. Hey everyone, right now we are hanging out with Riley Barnhart, the senior over at Park City Girls Soccer, and you're also the captain. How's things going? How's the season going so far?
Really good. The team has really good chemistry this year. Everybody's really excited to work hard. We're definitely doing a lot better than last year where we only had 3 wins total, so we've already beat that. I think everybody's really excited. We got a new coach. Everybody really likes him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it seems like a lot of things are going in the right direction. I mean, first things first, you get the big win over Highland today, who was kind of a rival, I would say, in some sort of ways. Is that true?
Yeah, last year they were definitely our best competitor. We went into overtime and then free kicks with them both times we played them. And then this time we were kind of unsure of how the game was going to go because they beat Olympus, which last year was a very good team. They beat Skyline, who took the championship last year, but they lost to Skyline, who we beat. So we came into this game not really knowing how it was going to go.
Yeah, and so game turns out pretty good in your favor, right?
For sure. Yeah, Shelly, our forward, scored 2. Leah, she plays wing and outside back. She scored 1. We definitely want to look to score a little bit earlier in the game, but other than that, it was pretty good.
Yeah, and so also I think another big thing was that this game, it's been a week since your team has played, and that's something that hasn't happened so far this season. It's been a very consistent schedule. Yeah. How was it feeling to get back on the field after a week away from the game?
It's really exciting. It was nice to have that time to be able to train, lift, rest, so everybody came out super excited to play, feeling good. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now you're on your 4th win of the season so far. In terms of this team, what is different? You've kind of talked about how the team's looking better, the training's going better, you have a new coach. What specifically is making this team different this year?
You know, I really think Coach Anthony has a big thing to do with that. I think he's making us feel like more acknowledged. We moved here, which is a lot better field than North 40. He's getting us new uniforms, advocating for us. So I think everybody on the team feels that we're being cared about. So then that makes us want to work harder and earn it.
What's the soccer mind of Anthony DeChico? I'm sure it's very interesting to learn from someone like him who's played at such a high level.
Yes, he's very smart. One of the best coaches I've had, very smart. He's very good about coaching you in the game, like just enough, not talking too much, or you get distracted. The right amount of ballot, like honesty. Like if you did something bad, he's going to tell you, but not toxic. Yeah.
Was the team excited? Because I know he's also been the coach for the boys team in the past. And so was it something that was kind of nice to hear from maybe boys soccer players saying, hey, he's a really good coach. He's really nice to have around the team?
Yeah, you know, we were a little bit unsure because I think boys reacted a little bit differently to him. They liked him, but we were still unsure. You know, he coaches boys. Sometimes that doesn't always transfer over to girls, but it ended up working out really well.
Yeah. What has it been like being a captain on this team? I know it's early in the season, but what has it been like growing into this leadership position, starting to talk a little bit more, being someone that the other players can look to?
It's definitely been really cool because I find myself in a position where I can help the underclassmen, make them feel welcome. I'm bringing up the next upperclassmen who will be leading the team. And I remember when I was just a little freshman, like super scared. And then when a senior would talk to me, it just made you feel so good. So it's really cool.
Who are some of the younger players on the team who you're looking forward to, maybe in the coming years, that you really think have some really special skills and talents?
I think Lauren on this team, she almost had one today, but she's a sophomore. She's a swing player from JV and varsity, but whenever she comes out, she puts everything into it. Super hard worker, super positive, brings the team up.
Yeah. We actually just talked to the JV goalie a little bit about her incredible goal just last week. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Did you see it? Were you here in person?
Yeah, I think she might have meant for it to be a cross, but either way, it was either going to be a beautiful cross or a beautiful finish. Yeah. But it was great. It got us moving, and she was our first goal, and then we just kept scoring after that.
You've got Skyline in your next game. How do you think that game plays out, and what do you think are some of the keys to victory for that game?
One of the main things we've talked about this year is since so many of the wins and losses have been unexpected, we've just been going to every game like we're playing Skyline when they were last year, because Highland beat Skyline this year. So we have the chance. We just got to go out there and work hard.
That is really interesting. You don't really know where you stand, but you do know it's better than last year. And so is it kind of weird trying to get your footing still?
Yeah, a little bit. It's definitely like you can't always get a specific strategy. Like in the past, we've been like, okay, we played them in the years past. These are their strengths. These are their weaknesses. But now, whether it's upperclassmen coming up who are super good or them losing seniors, like I know Skyline, they had a couple of D1 people who are seniors who graduated. So there isn't always a lot of pre-known knowledge about the teams unless we play with them in club. So it's just trying to show up every game.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think that this team is doing that. I think you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. From Arizona to Park City, Lindsey Cunningham has coached her fair share of softball teams. But last year, Lindsey faced a new challenge that she was not quite accustomed to. Hey everyone, right now we are hanging out with Lindsey Cunningham of Park City Softball. Coach, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, we wanted to get to know you a little bit. We haven't had you on the scoreboard. We haven't talked to you much. So the first thing that we like to do is just kind of get to know some of the coaches and who they are. So I just wanted to ask you first and foremost, how'd you get started coaching?
Well, I've coached for several years in the past. So I played softball my whole life, loved the sport, is my passion. I played in college, and then after I got done playing, the summer ball team that I grew up playing with asked if I would coach a 14 and under team. And so for about 4 years, I coached a 14 under team, coached at the local high school, and had a lot of fun doing that. Then I had kids and got out of it for a while, and just someone that I knew at the high school knew I had coached, knew I'd played, and so she asked if I would come and coach the varsity team. And so I just thought it would be kind of a fun experience and decided to say yes.
What has it been like learning how to coach? I mean, obviously you learn how to be a better player year after year. Every year that you coach, I'm assuming that you learn a little bit more about yourself and about the sport itself. Is that something that's happened to you?
Yes, this was probably the biggest learning experience I've ever had coaching this high school team. Just growing up in Arizona, our situation was just very, very different. And so coming here where first we couldn't even get onto our field until about 2 months into the season was definitely a learning experience. And then just kind of learning how to connect with each of the players and how to coach them is always just figuring out what will work for them is probably the biggest learning experience, and making it really about where we are as a team and realizing that maybe how I grew up and what our goals were might be a little bit different coming to Park City where it's kind of more of a developmental program, and just learning how to take this team and do little, like build every single week to have what we called our livies, our little victories every week, and just really kind of focus on those. And so it was a huge learning experience.
Yeah, I mean, the team, you know, they're not winning state, they're not doing incredible things like that, but they are still winning games, and they're doing it they're doing it at a good level, and they're also learning about the game. Is it kind of interesting to see it from a different perspective? Obviously, you grew up in Arizona where softball's huge. And so coming here to Park City where it's like, oh, these people, some of them haven't, you know, swung a bat. Some of them haven't caught a ball with a mitt, you know? Is it kind of there's got to be a lot of adjustments that have to be made.
100%. We had 4 girls that literally had never played softball this year, which turns out to be one of my favorite parts of coaching here, is that it gives Park City such a competitive environment and community where everyone's in sports. So to give kind of have a sport that you could come in high school, I think is sort of rare in Park City. And so, but it was taking all of these players and just every week focusing on what we did better. And a lot of times the scores would come out and it wouldn't tell the whole story of the game. And so we would just break down our games and really, really focus in, not necessarily on winning the game, but we won this inning. We, you know, didn't make errors this inning. We, you know, just we communicated well. And so it just was really more a focus on developing players and getting better every week. And eventually some of those led to some wins, which was really fun because we won a lot more games than they've ever won this year. But it was kind of this building process of saying these little things will become a lot by the end of the season.
And I was going to say, not only that, but near the end of the season, the wins that you did have were really big wins. I mean, they were more than just, tight games. They were really blowouts on your part. Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you, what was it like seeing some of these kids, come out of their shell, learn how to play, and see them have these big wins and these big opportunities and have these these little victories, like you said?
It was amazing. Like, it was my favorite part because, well, one, you watch them become more confident, which was really, really fun, where, you win the first game and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, maybe we can do this. Maybe you have to win to know you can win, which is sort of a hard thing. And then just the bus rides home after a victory were just so fun because the girls are in back, music's blaring, everyone's just having a good time. And that's what sports are about. It's kind of the camaraderie between the team. And every game, we kind of had a different hero of the game, so to speak. And so getting to see the different players have their big moments was it was fun. It made it all worth it.
That's really interesting that you bring that up, specifically being on the buses, because I wanted to ask you, you won more games on the road than you did at home. Is there any specific reason to that? Were you able to pinpoint any reason as to why maybe the team played better away than at home?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I will say they would get a little nervous. The baseball team would come and try and support us, which we loved, and it would, make the girls a little nervous and stuff. But I just think it's just kind of how it worked out, which was kind of fun because then we got to celebrate together all the way home, where if we won at home, everyone would have gone their separate ways, and usually we're about an hour away of just getting to have fun on the bus after we won.
What was it like being able to see the baseball team as well? They had a pretty good season
Great
as well.
season.
So was it? Does the baseball team? How close are the baseball and softball teams during the season?
Coach Fiesler took me under his wing this year. I literally couldn't have done it without him, and his whole mentality was, I would love to create a ball club, softball and baseball working together. And so our uniforms matched this year. We did a lot. So it's something that we're really working towards, is having unity between the softball and baseball team. And so when they were playing for the state this year, the whole softball team went out, and we were handing out free shirts and just trying to be out there to support them. And when we were at home and they would come over and support us. So I don't know that it's necessarily always happened in the past, but this year it was definitely a focus between us, at least. And he really, really helped us. Anything he could do to help the softball team, he was willing to do, which was awesome.
That is really nice to be able to have someone else to kind of help you out with this. Something I also wanted to talk about was, you mentioned it earlier, but not being able to be on the field until 2 months into the season. Is that just because of the weather and things like that?
Yeah, so, the snow.
Yeah.
And really, because we don't have turf on the baseball and softball field, which is, right now we have a group really working hard to raise money to do that, because then we could, on sunny days, go out and just clear off the outfield. But we really can't be on the field until it's dry enough to not destroy the outfield. And so the first time we could put a full team out was our first game in Salt Lake. And with that, we're also on the road because we can't play at home. And so for the first 2 months of the season, the girls are on the road 2 or 3 days a week, and which is hard. It's kind of hard academically and everything else. And so, it was interesting. We're so lucky to have base and rec. If we didn't have that, I don't know what we'd do. And so we get a couple days alone, a couple days we share with baseball at the field, and that's huge, but it's not quite the same as being on dirt.
And so that's where you would be training, is at base and rec, if you weren't able to be at the high schools?
Yes, well, and at the high school we could go into the gym. They do have a cage that drops, but again, that's just not quite the same. Base and rec was the best alternative.
What would you say is the highlight of last season for you?
Really watching the girls come together as a team, and just at the beginning, we were so disjointed and the culture was a little bit different than what we wanted, and just watching it come together to where at the end they really were a team and they had unity and had each other's back, and it was so neat to watch. And the underclassmen came in so just tentative and hesitant, and then to watch them really develop into great players. In our last game, we had 4 different freshmen that were playing varsity, and that was a lot. It was their first time making it to the playoffs, and so they were in a playoff game, which is a high pressure situation. We played an amazing team, and girls that played year round, and just to watch them go in and really work hard and just become better players was so special.
How do you keep the morale up when, like you've said, they are in a developmental stage? They are playing against kids who have been playing their whole lives year round.
Yeah.
How do you keep the morale up? How do you keep these kids wanting to come back and continuing to play softball?
We try to make it fun first. First and foremost, we try to have a good time. We do serious things, but don't take it too seriously. We just try to make everything really, really fun. And then just celebrating the little victories where, we really did at the end of the game, we might have lost by 10 runs, but if you were in our meeting, you wouldn't have known it, because we're talking about everything that happened that was a positive that if we could build on for the next game, maybe the next game we might still lose, but maybe only by 6 runs. And just keeping it really, really positive, because it's the only way people are going to want to come back is if it's fun.
Last question for me, kind of following up on that. How many players do you think are going to be coming back, and also who are you looking forward to maybe seeing blossom this year? We lost 4 seniors. I'm hoping everybody else comes back. And then, our underclassmen I'm really, really excited about. We had Aaron Donovan, we have Liv Smith, and then we have Maddie Crittenden coming back. And I'm really, really excited for the 3 of them, because I know they've been working really hard this summer. They've been taking lessons and just trying to develop their skills. And so they really, from where they started to where they went. And so I just have kind of big hopes for them this season, and I know that they're putting in the work to have a great season. Well, Lindsay, we cannot wait for March. It's going to be here just before we know it. We cannot wait. Thank you so much for the time, and good luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining the Scoreboard. We will be right back here next week with as much Wasatch Back sports coverage as we can possibly get. For the entire Scoreboard team, we are signing off. I'm Blake O'Rourke, and thank you so much, and we will see you all next time.